Have you ever opened a message, seen it clearly, yet found yourself unable to respond right away? It is not because you forgot, nor because you intended to be cold, but because you sat there, phone in hand, staring at those few lines, paralyzed. Your mind drafted countless replies, writing and deleting and rewriting, yet no response felt just right. You knew the other person was waiting, perhaps growing impatient, but you could not muster the energy, and even began to fear that seemingly harmless greeting. You are not someone who disregards others' feelings. On the contrary, you care too much, turning every conversation into an exam you must prepare for. So you set the phone down, promising yourself, "I'll reply in a bit," but that bit often stretches into hours or even days. You have tried to explain, to say, "It's not you, I'm just exhausted," but most people do not understand. They label you hard to reach, always disappearing, or not valuing the relationship, leaving you defenseless and prompting even greater caution and silence. Over time, you stop explaining altogether, no longer trying to make others comprehend your quiet. You habitually open messages, glance at them, then tuck them away in your heart like an unfinished duty locked in a drawer, neither released nor resolved. You always tell yourself, "When I'm in a better state, I'll reply." Yet that better state often arrives too late, while guilt accumulates day by day like a stone weighing on your heart, heavy and insoluble. You do not avoid replying because you lack care. You dread the chain reaction that follows, more dialogue, more explanations, more responsibility. You are already too drained, and even expressing concern becomes a burden. A simple, "Are you there?" feels like an invitation you cannot accept immediately. Thus, you choose silence, but silence does not mean indifference. It is the only control you still possess. If you have read this far without stopping, it means you recognize what I describe. Perhaps you are lingering before that unreplied chat window for a very long time. The replies you send most promptly are to those you know least. Colleagues, bosses, clients, even delivery drivers. You can type out full paragraphs in 10 seconds. It is not because you value them more, but because those relationships are superficial, requiring no emotional investment, no exposure of your vulnerability. What truly hesitates you are the people you care about, those for whom you want responses to be just right. You fear a hasty reply disappointing them, fear not being gentle enough, attentive enough, clever enough. You fear misunderstanding, being overlooked, intruding, falling short, and that every word reveals too much of yourself. You have even mastered a form of automatic camouflage, sharing emojis in group chats, liking posts, occasionally chiming in, appearing engaged while actually withdrawing. You habitually feel your heart race at unread messages. Your first instinct is not "let me see," but "what should I do?" You could directly say, "I'm not free to chat right now," yet it feels too abrupt, so you say nothing at all. This becomes routine, a silent survival skill. You mute notifications, slide chat windows down, and repeatedly tell yourself, "They won't mind." But you know you are lying to yourself. You are all too aware that those you care about are waiting for a single word from you. You have tried to change, setting timed reminders, preparing stock replies, forcing yourself to get used to socializing. Sometimes you succeed, replying to everyone in one burst, then collapsing on the sofa as if finishing a grueling task. But deep down, you know this is not ease. It is depletion. So you retreat again to that quiet corner, turning off notifications, continuing as the person who doesn't reply promptly. You grow skilled at saying "I've been so busy lately," masking awkwardness with smiles, covering exhaustion with "I'm fine." You dare not admit that what you fear most is not the message itself, but the oppressive sense of "I must respond." You begin rationalizing this pressure, telling yourself, everyone is like this nowadays. Even as you say it, you feel the hollowness. You do not avoid contact. You simply do not know where to begin. You are not incapable of expression. You are too afraid it will not be received. You do not reject responses. You do not know how to ask others to wait. So you pretend to be comfortable with solitude, pretend everything is okay, pretend there's nothing to talk about. But you know that is not the real you. Sometimes you think you are just too lazy to reply, but behind it runs an entire complex psychological process. Before hitting send, you undergo a miniature internal trial. You wonder, will this be misunderstood? Am I too blunt? Will they think I'm cold? In seconds, your brain simulates various possible reactions, feeling uneasy in every scenario. So you simply do not send. It is not indifference. It is knowing how easily you can be misunderstood. Psychology calls this hypervigilance, often seen in those who learn to anticipate others' emotions during growth. They are intimately familiar with disappointment, so before every communication, they imagine the worst outcome. This response originated as survival. As a child, you may have learned, don't make others angry, or don't say the wrong thing. Silence was self-protection then. But as an adult, this defense becomes a barrier. You can no longer distinguish real danger from ordinary interaction. You fear bothering others and being bothered in return. You are conflicted about responding because it means engaging. Engaging means exposing, and exposing means risk. This is why, though you seem inactive, you expend enormous psychological energy. Every message, notification, vibration is a test of whether it deserves attention. When others accuse you of being too slow or too passive, you can only smile, unsure how to explain it all. You just want a little time, a little space, to feel less tense. Unfortunately, in this era, silence is easily mistaken for distance, composure for indifference. So you are caught in the middle, not wanting disturbance, yet not wanting to be forgotten. You oscillate between extremes, craving connection, yet fearing closeness. This is not laziness or immaturity. It is a psychological defense built over years. Defense is not a flaw. It is the way you learned after repeated misunderstandings and hurts. You build a wall with silence, not to reject others, but to catch your breath. You may not recall the first unreplied message, but you remember that moment of fear. It was not intense terror, but discomfort, a bodily freeze. Perhaps long ago, you sent a message full of anticipation, waiting eagerly, only for no reply or one that made you feel too much. The feeling of being ignored, misunderstood, labeled too clingy or too emotional lingers clearly. Thus, you learned hesitation, choosing silence between speak and not speak. Perhaps in a relationship, you expressed unease only to be countered with, "Why are you always so sensitive?" In that instant, you realized true emotions might not be caught, but pushed away. From then on, you became more cautious. You repeatedly check wording, changing "I'm really upset" to "I'm a bit off," then to "It's fine, don't worry." You learn to dilute emotions, hide needs, package pain as humor. You know, saying too much annoys, saying too little risks losing connection. So every response becomes precise calculation. Over time, this precision becomes instinct. Not because you want to live this way, but because past raw expressions led to retreat, neglect, or blame. Some grow talkative because never interrupted. You grew quiet because you tried to speak, and no one truly listened. You remember wrong words moments, a cautious outpour, after which came your overthinking. You habitually doubt your intuition, even your right to express. So you hide not from coldness, but from memories of exposure leading to injury. These memories are invisible nails. Each dialogue opening pricks your heart quietly. You tell yourself, wait a bit, until I'm ready. But you never feel truly ready, unsure when it is safe. You learned early that avoiding trouble best is silence, carrying defensiveness in every relationship, not taught by others, but forced by life. When silence habituates, it becomes not just behavior, but internalized belief. You believe responding is a burden, not to be entered lightly. You think, if I reply, I must keep replying. If I start chatting, I bear all subsequent energy. You even see responding as commitment, unable to promise. You prefer silence over starting a connection you cannot sustain. You no longer ask, do I want to speak, but instinctively think better not, safer. If I don't reply, no misunderstanding. If I don't appear, no expectations. This is not rational choice, but automatic reaction after prolonged exhaustion. You treat this pattern as survival rule, like headphones isolating in a quiet zone. But this zone is not truly quiet. It traps all sounds inside. You still repeatedly open dialogues, read messages, imagine they're waiting. You feel apology, guilt, unspoken longing, yet say nothing. You go afraid to open chat apps. Each unreplied message accuses and mirrors lost connections. You forget natural expression, doubt being needed. You think others stop reaching because you disappointed, but lack energy to explain. You say, I'm too tired, not physically but emotionally, relationally, from years of build-up. You habituate avoiding responses, retreating step by step until only loneliness remains. You stop initiating meets, replying to care, suggesting plans, fearing inability to bear connections weight. You doubt worthiness of liking stable relationships. You see yourself as not enthusiastic, timely, good enough. This self-attack erodes silently. You appear very independent, but have just learned not to seek outward. Yet in quiet nights, staring at a dialogue, a soft voice says, I really want to reply. I just don't know how anymore. Until one day, you realize this is not your flaw. It is prolonged self-protection. You understand not all silence stems from apathy, but deep defense. You do not ignore deliberately. You preserve energy, boundaries, your unbroken self. You fear not the message, but its continuation, interactions you may not handle. You gain new self-understanding. You recall delayed moments once shaming. Now you see their vulnerability and honesty. You see yourself on the bed, phone in hand, eyes vacant, not procrastinating, but struggling. You stop quick self-blame for messing up, softly saying, you've tried hard. You discover some with unreplied messages still remain. They did not leave or belittle. They wait for your willing approach. You realize you are not unworthy of response, but learning how. You are not lazy, callous, uncaring. You just got hurt expressing, so learnt silence first. You can finally say, this is not your fault. You are not a social failure. You have a unique self-regulation. You never vanished. You protected yourself. You did not evade. You self-repaired. You did not silence. You awaited a safe outlet. It is not unwillingness to speak. You are not ready for others to hear. You begin allowing this state without urging, criticizing, pretending. You believe responding should be voluntary closeness, not burden. You practice, when energized, a simple word. When at ease, I'm here. You need not become suddenly active or change to please. You can go slowly. You have that freedom. You finally see delayed replies do not mean lost connection, but reclaiming agency. You learn to approach the world at your rhythm. You understand healing is not instant change, but forgiving your struggling self. You need not be quick replier to be understood, nor treat dialogues as exams, greetings as tasks. You can take your time. In your ready moment, a simple "I'm here" is brave enough. You can choose when to respond, when to be silent. Responding is not duty. It is gentle movement toward others. You need not explain, defend, prove hastily. You have the right to exist quietly, occasionally close off, ignore what unsettles. Some will wait. Others may leave, but this is not your fault. You stop forcing perfect replier. You practice authentic rhythm replier. You believe relationship depth lies in honest replies, not in speed. You learn to tend your emotions, not sacrifice for connection. You leave space, say I lack energy now, but still care. You can honestly say, I sometimes need quiet. It doesn't mean I don't love you. This is not distance, but truer closeness. You gain new language, not just sorry, busy, but thank you for waiting. You gently knock on once closed doors your way. You no longer seek perfect replies, but choose real presence. You no longer fear starting talks, knowing you can end, pause, or restart. You finally realize true healing is not boundless strength, but daring to be seen in weakness. You need not become someone new. You just slowly remember the you before fear obscured. Healing is not replying faster. It is replying without fear.